In question 27 we are asked to convert the decimal 0.172 recurring to a fraction in its lowest terms. Now when the dots are above the 7 and the 2, that means that the 7 and 2 parts recur, so it's 0.172727272, and that recurs. So how do I solve this type of question? Well, the first thing I would do is set x equal to that number. So I'm going to let x equal 0.1727272, and that obviously goes on forever. Now what we want to do is manipulate x in some way, i.e. times it by 10, 100, 1000, whatever, such that when we take that expression away from x, the recurring part disappears. So what multiplier should we go for? Well, notice that the decimal repeats in 2's, so we have 72, 72, 72. So the bit that repeats is 2 in length. So if I multiply by 100, this 7 here, for example, will move up to here. And so in essence, they would align. This suggests to me then that we want to try 100x. So let's do that. If x equals 0.1727272, then 100x is going to equal, we need to multiply this by 100, so we're going to get 17 point, and then we're going to get 2, 72, 72, 72, dot dot dot. Now notice that everything to the right of this 2 here is the same, so if I just put in a dotted line there, can you see that the tail end of these decimals are identical? So when we take these numbers away from each other, this bit disappears. So let's do that. We're going to do 100x minus x, and what's that equal to? Well, that's 17.2727272 minus 0.1727272. Well, that's just going to give us 17.1. If we clean up the left-hand side a little bit, we're going to get 99x equals 17.1. And that's an equation we can solve. Because I don't like having that decimal in there, I'm just going to multiply both sides of this by 10. So I'm going to get 990x equals 171. And this then tells us that x equals 171 divided by 990. And that is our answer. However, we need to be careful. The question asks us to give it as a fraction in the lowest terms. So this would only get us 2 marks. What we need to do to get the final mark is to try and simplify this fraction. How would I recommend we do that? Well, the numerator is quite tricky here, isn't it, to think of factors off the top of your head. So let's have a look at just splitting down the denominator. So what's 990? Well, that's definitely a multiple of 11 in there. So that's going to be 90 times 11. And 90 we can think as 9 times 10. So what I'm going to do is essentially decompose this 990 into its primes. Well, 11's prime, 10 isn't, that's a 5 and a 2. And 9 we can think of as 3 squared. And now we need to see whether 171 is either divisible by 3, 5, 2, or 11. Well, it's definitely not 5 or 2, is it? Because if it was divisible by 5, it would end in either a 5 or a 0, which it doesn't, so we can forget that. It's clearly not divisible by 2, because it's not even, it's an odd number. So that leaves us with 11 and 9. If you don't know this off the top of your head, let's try divide by either 11 or 3. Well, let's start with 11, shall we? We could do a process of long division, so if we start with our 171 and think what's an easy number of 11s we can do that we know off the top of our head? Well, I'm going to go for 10 11s, because 10 11s are 100 and 10. And then we take these away from each other. 1 minus 0 is 1, 7 minus 1 is 6, 1 minus 1 is 0. Now, how many 11s go into 61? Well, I know already that we can't get a whole multiple of 11 out there. 6 11s are 66, 5 11s are 55. So we know it's not divisible by 11. So that leaves us with 3 squared, or 9. We could either try 3 or 9. I'm going to jump straight in with the 9, but if it wasn't divisible by 9, we could try 3. So let's do the same process. I've got 171, and this time let's think of an easy number of 9s we can pull out. Well, let's go for 10 9s, because that's 90. And now we're going to do the take away again. 1 minus 0 is 1. And then we've got the 17 minus 9. Well, that's going to give us 8. Now, how many 9s go into 81? Well, exactly 9 go into 81, right? 9 9s are 81. And if we add those together, we get 10 plus 9, which is 19. So this tells us that 9 goes into 171 19 times, so we can cancel this fraction down further. We're going to divide the top and bottom by 9, and we now know that 171 divided by 9 gives us 19, and we know if we divide the bottom by 9, then we're going to be left with 110. So this is our answer, and this and only this answer will get us that third and final mark.